welcome back to Not Just Real Estate. I've got Lynsey Foster here with Foster Living and myself, Rob Golfi, with the Golfi Team. And we got some good shit we're talking about a little bit today. And
locally, globally, you name it.
Yeah,
we got it this week.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start off with...
How was your ride home last week in the dark? We were so worried that the eclipse was going to fuck up both of our drives to Niagara that we did this like 2 hours earlier than usual.
You know what? I'll tell you something. That they put out a state of emergency.
Yes.
Guess what? There was no
emergency.
No, they scared everybody off.
Yeah. So I got home and I checked the traffic probably like 16 times, and there was none.
The streets were dead here in Hamilton.
We got to 13th Street in 30 minutes.
The streets were dead in Hamilton. The streets were dead in Niagara. Nobody was coming down. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but not enough for state of emergency.
State of emergency. No.
So I was talking to my cousin. He's a retired police officer, and he said that they brought in, I'm not sure how many police officers, this is just one area, from London, and they all got a hotel room. And the Niagara Falls, I guess, whatever, they had to pay for each room $1,000. So no, it was so I can't remember, it was 25 or 50 police officers
from London brought in.
They got a nice hotel room.
Yeah.
And it cost the city or the government $1,000 a night for each police officer.
Boy,
the
casino's going to be opening an arena.
Nobody was in the casino, and it's too bad what happened. Niagara Falls was planning on having like an abundance of people, and it turned out to be a big flop because they scared people
with this emergency.
You know what I mean? Like, it's no different than talking about interest rates are going up, interest rates are going down. Everybody thinks interest rates are going down in the second half of this year. So the confidence level is up. That's why sales are doing well with real estate. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's how powerful the media has.
Which is stupid because they're not smarter than we are. No. And their information is very rarely correct.
Yeah. So
interesting. Well, I'll tell you this. We got to the vineyard very quickly, and then it was cloudy as all hell, and we didn't even really get to have an eclipse experience. Like, did you see it?
Yeah, we saw it. Like, there were some pockets where the sun came out out of the clouds, and you could tell I get it now. It was super bright. Like, I get it. It would hurt your eyes, and then it went pitch. Like, it didn't go pitch dark. It was like it went dark. It went dark for about two and a half minutes.
Cold. It got cold.
It got a little chilly, and then all of a sudden, the birds started chirping after the sun like started showing again. But can you imagine how messed up the animals were?
So I heard that the dogs were all going to go crazy, and if there was 1,000 people at the winery, there were 500 dogs. So I was waiting for this. Not a peep.
The dogs don't care.
The dogs couldn't possibly have cared less.
They're not worried. Maybe the wolves in the wild. Yeah, I could see them howling and saying, "What the hell's going on here?"
That was anticlimactic.
But you know what? I get it. It is a big thing. This is once in a lifetime in our area. But if I do want to see an eclipse, I just have to fly around the world and find out where the next eclipse is. And I'm sure I can see one every 5 years if I wanted to.
Honestly, you could pick a province and work your way west across Canada and see one every single year.
So I get it. It was a pretty neat thing to see.
Yeah.
If somebody asked me in 10 years, did you ever see an eclipse? I go, I'll
I
probably forget about it.
Yeah.
I think I did. Tell me about it again. What is it about?
Well, that means you have no long-term visual damage from it, which is also good.
I have no good memory of things that are not important to me.
Good for you.
So I don't like if my long-term memory, it's better than anybody's. I could tell you exactly what happened at what time, when, where I was, where you were. If I've known you from way back and I can tell you exactly what was going on. Like, my memory long term is good. It's my short term because I got so much clogged up with so much information now that I get it. It's stored back there. But for me to bring it back to the forefront,
difficult.
Something has to trigger me to talk about it. But otherwise, it's in my memory bank, and it goes back there. And if it's not important, that makes my life, like, exhilarated or any other way, it just goes back in there, and it's
And I find sometimes that stuff takes the most recall. You're trying to remember what you had for lunch yesterday until there's steam coming out of your ears because it's like not important information.
Yeah, like it's
there. I'm not dumb.
I like. Do I care what I ate for lunch yesterday? All I care is what I had at the time. It satisfied my hunger, and I'm gone.
Yeah, I got on with my day.
Yeah. Yes. Like I guess maybe you know what? Now I know why people take pictures of their food to remember what they ate.
The hell
that
they were
day.
eating. Do you ever find that in real estate? We were going through our transactions last year and just making sure we had all the right, information on them. And sometimes you forget. I was like, who the hell are Paul and Jane? Oh, well, of course. But it's just digging back in that recall. If it was a quick deal or it was uneventful, there was no drama. They didn't buy a house, so there's no follow-up to do other than how you doing, and it's gone.
I remember people by addresses.
Me too, absolutely.
So I put their name and their address beside their name.
Yep.
So when they call, I go, oh, hey, I know, it's so-and-so. You know what I mean? And that's how I remember. And I can have people call me from like 10 years later, and they're calling me on my phone, and I'll remember the house that I dealt with them on that.
Well, that's your mental to visual recall,
right? That's my trigger. Like, like a buddy of mine, that he's a car, like he has car dealerships and he buys and sells cars. That guy, his memory is unbelievable. Like unbelievable. Like I can't believe how good his memory is. I wish I had his memory because he sees cars that he remembers cars that he sold like 30, 40, 50 years ago. Well, probably 40 years ago. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Do you think it stops at cars for him? Do you think he remembers his wife's birthday too, or is it only car things that he can?
I think it is just maybe cars. I think it is.
That's called autism,
yeah,
Rob.
Yeah, like but I wish I had his memory because it's incredible. Like he even knows my car. Like I have a Tesla. It could be parked on the side of a road. He knows my license plate.
Really? He'd be like, that's Rob's.
That's Rob. That's Rob. Rob's here.
Sometimes I'm in a parking lot. I can't even find my Tesla.
Yeah,
There's too many white ones.
This guy, I'm telling you, I wish I had his memory, but he's, it's good. Like, I mean, he's got a computer he's got his brain as a computer. Mm-hmm. And, I wish what he has for cars, I do have for houses, but not to that level. Mm-hmm. He's gifted that way. And
interesting.
I don't know what I'm gifted. I got to figure that out still. I don't know. Do you have any gifts that God gave you?
Well, we're both really good looking.
Yep. There you go.
just take that and ride.
I think you're very good looking. Me, I think I got a lot to work on here.
Stop it. No, you're a handsome man. No, but memory, and then you can take your fish oils or you could do your meditation. But I find like we have families, we have businesses, they can throw you off in a minute. And that's the train of thought thing. Like, it's always there, but his recall for cars, he's around them all day and he loves it.
Oh yeah. Buys and sells cars steady. It's like stock trading for him.
Right. Yeah. But if I asked you like what year urea formaldehyde foam was used by the Canadian government, it's in there.
Yeah.
You just got to dig it back to go, oh, it was in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was, that reminds me of the old newlywed game. Was it the newlywed game
where they'd flip the boards up
and they try to know their new wife or husband or whatever?
Sounds like a get divorced game.
It is. They should have one for people that have been married 10 years or more. See how that turns out. But so what else is happening in the world of Lynsey Foster?
What did we do? So we listed a new place in Waterdown last week.
Yeah.
And I don't know about your business model, but we are end of the week listers. We've talked about this.
Yeah. So we list throughout, but my main goal is to list towards the end of the week.
Yeah. Thursday, Friday is ideal. Yeah. Like we'll list you when we list you, but you want to get great open house feedback and get in front of the people who are bored at work scrolling. So we didn't have that last week. We went live on Wednesday, which is out of character for me. 3 offers in 48 hours, sold firm, no questions asked. We beat the average Waterdown days on market by like 200%. Yeah. Houses there list to sale 97. We hit 101. And I didn't think we were priced low. So if that's not spring market for you, right? Like, and also it's like the value of staging and cleaning. Like you probably haven't done a buyer tour in a while, but if you take people to see 5 to 8 houses, they don't remember the dirty ones.
No.
They don't remember the ones that didn't have the beds made. They're like looking for that opulent experience. And it's like 20 extra minutes of work to polish them. And the response is outstanding.
So you triggered something for me.
A shitty house?
No. But you're pretty tough to deal with. Am I correct? And what you're dealing with one of the agents on my team.
A couple of them, yeah.
And then I go, like, they go, Rob, she's tough to deal with. Did you mention my name at all?
Yeah.
I go, I don't know if she cares or not.
Is this the girl or the boy?
I can't remember.
I've done one of each in the last month.
Like she's not giving me any leeway. I go,
I won't.
I go, what a tough cookie. Look at you.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think that ladies in real estate get pigeonholed into dressing houses, you know what I mean? And painting walls. And the truth is, like, that's the least favorite part of my job. I'd way rather contract negotiate. And, I mean, I have years of experience in that. I'm a wife and a mother.
So you know how to tough it out, fight it out with the agents out there, right?
Absolutely. And also I think like being data oriented and doing this full time helps because when we don't argue with a feelings perspective. This isn't emotional at all.
No, it shouldn't be emotional.
It's all data.
Yeah.
It's all data.
Yeah.
Here's why you're wrong. I'm right.
Yeah. You're always right.
I'm always right and friggin' do it. But on that note, one of the agents we did a deal with, I sent a message to everyone who has been paid by virtue of one of my listings in the last 6 months to ask them if they'd like to donate to my Easter seals. So I sent a really cute message that said, hey, it's great working with you. If you have any of that commission left, would you mind popping $20 on here for me? We're going to send some kids to camp.
Oh, nice.
And a couple people said yes. And your agent said, I already gave Rob all my money. I'm sorry. And I told him to eat shit because I thought he probably had $20. But anyways, I didn't get the pledge. So I'm coming to you next. But I thought it was very funny.
You know what you got to do? You got to give a little bit of leeway. But I like your tenacity, and I love your hard working way for your client. You're representing your client and the toughness. But I was going like this. I go, Rob, she's not moving. She's not moving. I go, really? Does she know you work with me?
Yeah.
Give a little leeway. I don't think she cares.
No, and you know what it is actually, and maybe you can speak to this. If we had 60-day on market listings, I'd be given leeway. I'd be given coupons.
Yeah.
I find that our listings are either getting multiple offers in 48 hours.
So why give
I can't give you anything.
Yeah.
I haven't had enough people through the door.
Yeah.
Or you can see from the days on market if we're in a position to be nice friends.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm good.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something that makes me want to spill my water on the real estate front. We got really amazing news last week for about 20 minutes.
What's that? New
first-time home buyer incentives. 30-year amortizations on mortgages. And this is going to change the landscape.
But only on new homes, though.
Well, that's when I spilled my water.
That's it.
Because I want to know where the government collusion stops.
You know what? They always got to throw this little curveball. They always got to throw this stupid thing in there, like only on new homes.
So let's just like, can I give you my rundown on new homes really quickly? I never bought one. We don't really help our buyers in purchasing them because it's not a market that we really get paid in.
Same thing
they have sales representatives for that. And here are some of my qualms. One, you don't know when the hell it's coming. I've had people buy new builds and get married, have 2 children, move several properties, and then the condo's built. So like your timeline, kind of fucked for a first-time home buyer.
Well, like, okay, okay, hang on in there.
Timeline.
Okay, I'm buying a house today, but it's not going to be built till next year.
Or the next year.
Yeah.
Or the next one.
So really, 30-year amortization, you think that's going to help anybody?
Especially because the interest rates could still be moving. So the timeline on new builds doesn't benefit first-time home buyers. Let's talk about carry-on warranty for a minute. Like when they said the people in charge of carrying out the carry-on warranty are the actual builders who did the shoddy work in the first place. So there's really nothing to fall back on.
Carry-on's not really easy to deal with
not
that much
at all.
either. You know what? Like it's
not a third
you
party.
You got to fill out you got to be a lawyer to fill out the paperwork.
So now we want the first-time home buyers to buy houses that could come in any state of repair, and we don't actually have a system to make sure that these houses are to the standard that they should be, short of municipal bylaw checks. So that's kind of fucked up. And then the fact that the builders are changing the prices on these. Over the last 2 years, throughout the north side of our trading area, we've seen Miltons and Bramptons come and try to renegotiate the paperwork contracts they've made. All that for 30-year amortization?
No, forget it. Forget it. You know what? They didn't change. They're gonna look at this after a year.
Yeah.
And they'll go, wow, that really nothing happened there. Nothing changed.
At all.
Nothing. And just put 30-year amortization on everybody. New. If you're a first-time buyer, boom, 30 years.
Right.
You got the opportunity. Why limit it? Like, yeah, they want new homes built, but maybe those new homes are expensive. Like, there's first-time buyers need those $600,000 homes, $500,000 homes, and there is no new homes in that price point. So I'm sorry.
And they don't want 2-bedroom townhouses with no basements that are built on grade with a community parking lot.
And they become 3 stories. And you know what? They just never get it right.
No.
They just,
Well, and they show their cards. They basically opened the file and said, there's enough people that made this decision whose cousins are builders. That's what I took from it. Like, who is this really benefiting? And we always know that there's a political, and when it comes to real estate and infill building, we saw it in Ontario, like really directly with the Greenbelt scandal. But I mean, for me, that was just really obvious. Like, why are you trying to benefit the home builders when there's so many other ways to accomplish this?
It's not going to change anything.
No.
We're still going to be in the same situation as always.
And interestingly, new homes aren't the best equity build for first-time home buyers either, because you're buying a house that's already at 110%. If I met 26-year-old me tomorrow, I'd be saying, go buy a junker.
Is that how old you are?
No, but if I was that old, that's what I would be telling myself, which is exactly what I did. When I was 26 years old, I bought something that I could put back together with like a plumber, an electrician, and a Home Depot credit card. Putting young people in for brand new homes isn't helping them.
No, it's not gonna do it. To me, I don't think it's gonna help that much.
I don't think people will use it.
No. Some people don't want a new home. They're expensive. I get it.
And some people don't want 30-year amortization either.
Well.
All that does is makes your monthly cheaper. You're not paying off your bills any sooner.
Well, and that's why they made it to 30 years so that it can change your payments. I'm curious to find out that 5-year difference. Does it make that much? Is it $100 a month difference?
We'll have to ask Brian. We'll get his take on it for next
I'm gonna
week.
check
but
that out.
I can't imagine it would be more considerable than a 0.5 rate drop. Wouldn't that be juicy?
You know what? Everything was running smooth, I think, until 2019, and they keep changing things because they messed up through COVID. They keep changing, but if they just didn't, they should have raised interest rates a lot quicker than they did. They waited too long, and that's what caused all the problems. And that's why they're always trying to fix problems. And then they got the immigration. But anyway, we've been talking about that forever. So
well, I think new initiatives need to be blanket. They need to be good for everyone and work for everyone. And first-time home buyers aren't the main driver in our market, and neither are new builds.
Did you? I don't know too much about this, but CRA wants to be able to do audits. Did you read any of that?
So we are an accountant's family.
Yeah.
So we know a lot about this, and I've been getting some email blasts. But more than I think that the CRA auditing real estate agents was just due to happen.
No, but this is for like if you're applying for a mortgage.
Okay.
This guarantee. No, this is a wholly new thing.
Oh, I read this really differently.
No,
then.
My understanding is that when you're applying for a mortgage, CRA will. I don't know. We'll have the right information next time. Is part of the approval to make sure that there is no fraud.
As a real estate agent?
No, as
anybody.
As a buyer.
Wow.
As a buyer on the house. They because there's a lot of fraud out there.
Sure.
Like a letter from the employment is not going to cut it as much. A letter from your where you worked, or if you write down information that you worked at so and so, made this much money. Now they're like.
So the mortgage brokers,
the CRA is going to have to. They're going to. Wow. You have to go get information directly from them to get the mortgage approval. So if you're going to get a CMHC mortgage or a bank mortgage without CMHC, it's like I'm telling you, I got to read about it. I'm going to give you guys more information next week. I'll have more point form for that.
That would require huge infrastructure. So when I saw that headline, can I tell you what I thought you wanted to talk about? I know no less than 5 real estate agents that got HST audit forms last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're coming down hard.
Well, and they're coming down hard on people that have been flipping houses in the last 5 to 8 years. I know I just had one guy from Ancaster. He calls me up and he says, I need a letter to say that I was living there. And I go, you were living there. They don't believe it. They want him to pay like $175,000 to $200,000 in HST, and the total is just running. It's just running. And he's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And so they are hammering down on everybody. If you built a house in the last 10 years, they're coming after you.
Wow.
They are coming after you. And so just be on the lookout. And run and hide your money because they'll freeze your bank accounts.
Well, and that's the people that are trading real estate that aren't licensed. Think about the people who are trading real estate who were licensed that'll double down on that.
Oh, yeah. They're going to go after everybody. So I think what they're going to do is see how long you've been living at certain addresses and see what's going on. And because I guess the government needs money and that's a loophole or one way that they're going to get. And what happens is, now you have to defend yourself and spend a whole fortune of money.
Yep.
And then eventually you're going to lose because there's interest on top of interest, and you're going to end up paying thousands of dollars. It's hard to beat the government. I'm going to tell you something. Like, you can beat them, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy from you. And I don't know if, like, is it easier just to pay and get the hell off?
I know it's hard because it's like you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent, which is really tricky to do. I don't know. We've paid capital gains on everything we've turned over. It hurts to cut that check, but it's just what's worse, having to take 6 months off work to go over every receipt you've had for the last 5 years. Like, that sounds arguably worse. But yeah, I do know some of our peers who have gotten their HST audits come through, and like, fuck.
No kidding.
Imagine you had 3 listings that week too. Like, it's also just so time consuming. And would leave me with gut rot. So, but people that aren't audited are getting awards. On the high side of real estate. Tell us about this Thursday.
So we've got our awards banquet. This is, I think, our third, or it could be fourth, but our third Golfi Awards. We call it the Golfis.
Where is it this year?
It's at Club Roma in St. Catharines. We rent a limo, I guess, bus or whatever, that we pick up people from here that aren't driving down. So because we want to prevent drinking and driving, and it's pretty good. It's an amazing night.
You wine them, you dine them.
Wine, dine them, and DJ, dancing,
no
and
way.
fun. Everybody is always looking to get in their cocktail dresses. All the girls are talking. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? I think it's cool. It's cool, and it's a lot of fun. And it's just a night out. It's just something people can have fun, and it's another night out. Like we have probably, I think, 4 times a year we get together. So one is the Christmas party. So people love that.
Your own or Remax?
No, our own Christmas party. And we do the Golfis, the awards night.
Yeah.
We have a baseball tournament.
No way.
Yeah, we have like I think it's like 6 or 8 teams. Like, I mean, we got close to 100 people on our team, like between staff and agents. And so we got the baseball, and then we do a picnic and a mini golf tournament.
Oh, that's so much fun.
So it is. So it gets everybody together, and everybody's fun. Plus, we get everybody together 4 times a year, every quarterly, and we call it the state of the company address.
Okay.
And we talk about where we've been in the last quarter, in the last year, and also where our direction is. We just want everybody to know all about us, like the whole team, what we're doing, what we're planning on doing, and our goals and stuff like that. And it's just, and we do it at a movie theater, and it's fantastic.
I saw that. It's so cool.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It shows that we're organized. I don't know if there's any other real estate team out there that has the organization at the level that we do. I mean, we're a big team. I mean, it's easier to be more organized as a smaller team because there's less moving parts, but we've got a lot of moving parts. And again, it's retention. You want to make sure that people stick around and work with you and stay on your team for a long time. So the culture is good. That is the biggest thing. So I spend money to make sure the culture is good on our team.
Yeah, and then everyone knows what the fuck is going on too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. And a lot of long time life friendships have been made on our team. I remember, and there's also a lot of people that got together. They got their license. They were single. They don't have anybody, and then they meet somebody. Through it's like, oh yeah, we've seen couples get together and become life partners and all that
from within the Golfi team.
Well, we've had that where they gotten within the Golfi team and they moved in together as a couple. But otherwise they've met other people, and I'll never forget this one lady named Karen, and she's like, I said, come work for me. I go, guaranteed, you will meet somebody through my organization, through the circle of people that I know, the circle of people that work with us and everything. She married a millionaire. Guess what?
Way.
She doesn't work for me anymore because she doesn't have to.
It's matchmaking with Rob Golfi.
Yeah.
I love that.
You come work here, man. You're gonna hook up with somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, culture is so important, and obviously we talked about how in our businesses it's very media focused, and like you see what we look like and who we're with and what we're doing. And sometimes I see a group and big or small teams, and I just think, what do you people have in common? And I think that's what you're doing. You're forcing people to have things in common.
Yeah. Do you think a realtor should be? Is it easier for them to be married to another realtor or not?
Well, yes and no. I think it would be easier. I'm married to a realtor.
Yeah.
We know each other's schedules. We give each other so much grace and space, and we can help each other in a bind.
And if you get a phone call, you answer it. It's not rude. You're not.
Never.
No, like what usually like.
But I'll tell you what we don't have: a fucking salary, right?
There you go.
So is it easier to be married to a real estate agent for understanding and emotional support? Absolutely.
I think realtors should be married to realtors.
Yeah,
I do, because it is more understanding than anything. I mean, there's a lot of realtors that aren't married to realtors, but they have another occupation, another thing. But when realtors are married to each other, they understand the hours and everything else like that, because it's all sorts of hours, right? And it makes it easier, especially if they're both realtors and they work together. You can probably get more done that way. But in saying that, like when the phone rings, it's easier to answer it. Because you're not being rude, because they understand your business.
Yep.
A lot of times when I'm out and with friends at a thing, if I see something that I can call later and say, listen, I'm out for the night, I can. But if you're in the middle of some kind of transaction, you have to answer it. So usually I answer the call and walk away from the table, and so that they don't have to hear my conversation.
Yep.
But if you're all realtors, you can kind of talk right there in front of them, and they won't even look bat an eye saying, hey, well, how rude that person was.
It's also like doesn't matter if you have a 100-person team or a 5-person team, it can become a solitary environment. And so even just to have a sounding board, like I was doing a buyer's contract and I was working on like a little bit of a tricky clause in it. Just, we want the pool open, but by this date, and if it's not working, but then if it did it, it's getting to a page here. And it was just like, I need a sober second look. It's 11 o'clock at night. There's nobody administratively from the Remax end that's going to do this. I'm not going to wake Rob up to review my pool clause.
No.
I got a husband, right? Take a look at this, right? Give it a second look. And I think that's helpful, because like a friendly reminder, we are dealing with people's largest assets. And being good at it is an important part. And having someone like-minded.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I get it. Like a lot of realtors, it just depends. It depends how you manage your time in life.
And manage your money, because two shitty realtors married to each other are going to be bankrupt in a hot fucking minute.
No kidding.
So
no kidding.
There's emotional support, but there's also financial necessity.
Oh yeah, it's not an easy business. So if you're thinking of becoming a realtor, I'm telling you, if you're thinking of becoming a realtor, you better think twice, long and hard. Don't watch those shows on TV, because that is all like smoke and mirrors there. I'm telling you.
You imagine showing up in some of the shoes those girls show up to? It'd be in north side of Hamilton, showing houses on Beach Boulevard.
No way.
12-inch stiletto.
But right now, those guys, they're getting those clothes are given to them now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think they're walking around working using Gucci, Prada, and Louis Vuitton, all that kind of stuff. They're not. Nobody. I mean, I'm sure some people wear some of that, but not
the way that they do.
Not the way they do.
Same with the cars too. Like, I don't think they own a lot of the.
I think the cars are there.
Really?
Yeah, the G-Wagons and the Porsches, and I think if they're doing a business, you got to remember, these guys are selling 5 to 10, 20, 30, $40 million houses. If they sell 10 a year.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing.
They're not doing the volume like you and I do.
No, the boys who are managing those brokerages, like if you looked at Selling Sunset, those Oppenheim boys definitely pull volume at a high level.
Yeah.
But I think the girls there are doing 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They probably have NBA star husbands, and it really doesn't matter, right?
But yeah. Are you kidding me?
It's not. That's not a realistic take on a day in real estate.
No kidding.
So,
no kidding.
You sent me. Well, actually, Stephanie sent me an article. And this has been going on for like 1.5 years, and I had no idea it was happening. And it's about a lady in Vietnam, who embezzled. We've now come up with 3 different numbers based on what article you read. The highest was $44 billion she embezzled from the bank. Yeah. And for other people that weren't following this, would you like to fill in the rest of the story?
So I read the story, and she is on death row.
They're gonna kill her.
Yeah, because she basically
she stole the banks.
She stole a lot of money.
Yeah,
like I don't get it. Like, what is she planning on doing with this? Like eventually there is an end date. Mm-hmm. There is. So I don't know if it was $12.5 billion, but this lady embezzled that much money, and the government's saying, you know what? You're on death row. You don't deserve to live.
For white collar crime like that.
For a white collar crime like that. And there's no way. And you know what? There's probably, I don't know how many people got hurt out of that. If there's innocent people that invested in that bank. Because banks, you're only insured to a certain amount if they go bankrupt. And that's why in the U.S., there's millions of banks, right? In Canada, we have like 5 major banks. Mm-hmm. Chances are, we're pretty safe here. Yeah. With the 5 major banks. Then you got some credit unions. Anything beyond that, I don't know of. Do you know any other banks besides? Okay, you got the 5 major bank. I don't even know. Is it 5 or 6? Anyway, we know who they are. You know, RBC, CIBC, TD, BMO, and Scotia. Is there anybody else that I missed there?
Not from a big bank level. No.
So those are the banks.
Yep.
Big banks. Then the only 2 credit unions I know of is Meridian in First Ontario. Yeah. Now there's a few other ones, small ones. Yeah. Right. And
then there's the individual ones like the Teachers Credit Union, the Polish
those
Credit
ones.
Union,
Those credit. Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. So basically, what I read from the article was this woman. You're not allowed to have a bank loan in Vietnam that is worth more than 5% of the shares of the bank, which is probably like just really basic good accounting. And and I don't even think like. We know someone whose mortgages make up 5% of a great Canadian bank.
No kidding. Yeah.
The chances of that happening slim to none. So she took her first loan, and then when she realized she needed more money, she started opening shell corporations, which is how they didn't realize it was her. And when it was all said and done, the leading bank in Taiwan, she owns 93% of the debt of this bank in this whatever the billions are. So I think the number was actually 22 billion was embezzled. Yeah. And then the damages attached to that bring it up to $40 billion. Wow. She is single-handedly closing the bank.
Unbelievable.
But they're going to kill her for it. It was really, and there was 4 other people that got life in prison.
Well, it's because it was so much. Mm-hmm. Like they want to make an example and say, hey, if you got something like this going on, you better stop.
Yeah, stop right now.
Or even thinking about it.
Also, they have to be so embarrassed. Like, what kind of dumb are you? Like, when she got to 50% of the bank's
But they didn't know that.
They had no idea.
They didn't know that.
But that speaks to, like, accounting and marshalling at the bank.
So now, obviously, they're going to change their rules and regulations. Yeah, because they don't want this to happen again.
Well, if they even exist, 97% of their equity has been loaned out and will never come back.
Yeah, the banks, the government will bail them out or something.
Does that happen in, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's the other side of the world.
I don't know. I know they got monkey problems out there with the I think it was in.
It was the monkeys we talked about.
It was was that Vietnam or Taiwan? I'm not sure, but there's a lot of monkeys out there.
Well, and then there was another one you sent me about unhappy leave in China. So they were saying that like here you have like stress leave. And we obviously have like a medical leave and depending on where you work and what kind of corporation it is. But in China, they have one now that they're trying to institute where it's just
unhappy.
If you're miserable.
What the hell?
I'll see you once a month. Yeah, honestly. Can you imagine?
My wife didn't want to do anything this morning. I'm unhappy.
It's just, I mean, the 5-day work week is an antiquated idea. I think everyone agrees with that. Most of Europe is trying to get away from a 5-day work week. We will always have 9-day work weeks because we chose to be self-employed. But
so you're telling me in 10 years from now, nobody is going to want to work?
No,
the generation that's coming up the pipeline,
they don't want to work now.
They have stress leave, unhappy days, and happy days. And
have a baby, 18 months. That's the new legislation.
Well, that's now. That's now. 18
absolutely.
Months.
18 months you can stay home.
But do you know years ago it was only 6 weeks?
Did you know if you're self-employed, it's butt kiss?
Yeah.
And I got to go to work virtually
No,
immediately.
but did you know it was
6
only
weeks?
Did you know it was only 6 weeks?
I think that's the American standard now.
That was like, I think, 30, 40 years ago. It was 6 weeks.
Well, they couldn't.
You're having a baby tomorrow? Okay. We'll see you back at work in 6 weeks.
Yeah, month and a half. But that was when they had daycare available in nice ladies' houses.
Yeah,
you could bring your 6-week-old.
Yeah, no kidding.
We don't have infrastructure to take those babies now.
I mean, they got like 18 months and
right.
Yeah.
Do you imagine one of your staff came to you and just said, like, I'm just like not loving it, and I just need I just need 2 weeks to myself? You'd know right away they're going to look for another job. Why don't you just
and you know what? And the government's going to legislate that you have to pay them during their unhappy days.
Full.
This government is not doing anything good for us. They're not doing it. They're not doing anything.
To be fair, that's China, which is also strange because that's pretty hippy dippy shit for a communist country, right?
Like
people must be really miserable.
Yeah.
But we would never have accurate data anyways. Like I'd love to be able to hit you with like what their like depression numbers look like, but that would never be.
I don't think Chinese have depression. They'd probably smack them out.
This is it.
They say
right?
Snap out of it.
Yeah, we're calling it something new, and you're going to deal with your shit.
Snap out of it. That's it.
So I got a really interesting message. We sold a house. Let's see now, 17 months ago. It was a duplex.
Yeah.
The main floor vacated, no problem. New owners moved in. The upstairs did not. So, in the most technical sense, this person had been asked to leave 17 months ago. All the legal proceedings were followed properly. He had to leave. It was just what it was. And he chose not to. But he's paid his rent every single month on time. Question 1, would you call this man a squatter?
No, if he's paid his rent.
He's just an ass?
Why is he being asked to leave?
Oh, because he got N12. Someone bought the house. They'd like to live in it. Okay. It's for themselves.
So, yeah, like shit. He's a squatter. Like and the government's got to do something to get him out of there. And they're not doing that. And people are going broke doing it, you know?
We're going to hit 2 years. So folks who are looking at homes that have tenants, there's lots of ways to write the clauses to make sure that these places close and that you're doing things properly. But in the end, you're dealing with the human entity that's going to do what they want to or not.
Yeah, but if you have a sheriff, they will drag you out.
But you need the landlord-tenant board to do it. To give that.
So we got a similar situation that we're at the beginning stages that we're talking to for a client of ours. So, and I know we don't have much time, but our first step is to go to him and try to make a deal.
Yep.
So, and then we're gonna go there very nicely and say, look, you're gonna be moving out. Mm-hmm. So there's an easy way and a better way for you to do that, and we're willing to offer you money and to move out. Now, if you don't, then we can start evicting you now because we're gonna put it on the market. We're gonna give you more than 24 hours for showings. And if you refuse the showings, we can give you a form indicating that if you're not allowing showings, we can evict you. We can start the process. Mm-hmm. And that process starts now. So we've accounted for you to be out within 6 to 9 months.
Yep.
So so from the day that we start evicting you, you got 6 to 9 months. Or we can give you some time, we'll pay you money.
We'll help you find a place.
Yeah, we'll help you find a place. It's not going to be the same amount of money, but you're going to be out.
Yep.
That's the law. We're going to get you out. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to see what happens there. So I'll keep you up to date. So we're going to make the offer with him, like a cash offer for the tenant to leave. And after that, they want to sell it. They want to get off the hands. It's actually an estate sale.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a lot of these next generation, are selling these places that their parents had, and now the tenants are becoming rotten.
I believe that.
Yeah, because the older generation, they just let them pay the same rent for years. They didn't increase the rent.
Yep.
The house was paid for. That was like a nice little, income. Now these people are going, holy shit! Like, man, I'm paying $1,000 a month rent here on this single detached home.
Yeah.
If I leave here, I'm gonna end up paying $2,500 to $2,700 for the same thing. They can't afford it because they're so used to paying $1,000.
Well, this is it, which is a heartbreaking feeling. But in the same breath, if you're living in a house that you don't own, this needs to be an inevitability.
Yeah.
Like, it's very short-sighted to be a tenant in a house that isn't an effort trust style situation.
Yeah.
Like, this is owned by someone that isn't you. And as much as it's your home for sometimes 20, 30 years, like it's not your asset to trade. I know we're running short on time, but the whole reason that conversation came up was because this is happening tenfold in the United States, and that these squatters are affecting the real estate industry in some areas because they just won't leave.
Did you hear the little loophole or whatever for squatters not to squat on a property? If you have a no trespassing sign, then you can drag them out of the house.
Really?
Isn't it like I'm telling you, like
is that Canadian or American or just common knowledge?
That's the American. I don't know the squatter's rights or whatever. But if you had on the sign on your house no trespassing, you can drag them out because But because you didn't have that, all of a sudden
may as well be a fucking welcome mat.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people are inheriting houses.
Sure.
And they're empty. And they live out of the province or out of the state or out of the country, and they show up and they got this squatter living in there, and now they got a nightmare to deal with.
And you have to pay out of pocket in that point to get the sheriff, go through your legal proceedings.
Like it's just the government should say, hey, you're squatting, get the hell out. That's it.
Yeah.
Get out.
You don't own this.
You don't own this. Why? I don't even understand like this stupid law of squatters. Like why? Like who? Like what government?
It's not even a nice name. Like, you have to know you're not favored when you're called the squatter.
Like, I'm going to tell you, in 10 to 20 years from now, you're going to see a lot of crime because of this. There's going to be a lot of crime. People are going to get hurt. People can't tolerate that too much anymore. Like, the people won't have the money. Like, you know what people do? When they are at the limit, when they're at their end, they don't care about life anymore, about their own life. So that's when they will come after you.
Yeah, make bad decisions. Well, especially in a country like the States where guns are legalized. Someone's in your house. It's a recipe for disaster.
Someone's going to come in and shoot them and say, hey, was it worth it?
Yeah.
The squatter, get the hell out. Just leave. Come on. You know you're in the wrong. Just go. You know? Like, why take the risk of some crazy landlord?
Right.
You know? They're out there. You know what I mean? You bring them to the brink of mental anguish and everything else. They're going to do things that they normally wouldn't do. But if that means them losing their own house because of you, they're going to do nasty things.
Well, it's easy to be short-sighted when you're pissed off and there's someone in your house for sure.
People do wrong things. So what else is happening? Are we at the end of our term here?
I think we got a 2-minute flash warning. I'll tell you one good thing that happened. In approximately 2 weeks, we'll be enjoying our water out of Foster Living mugs because after almost 13 years in the industry, I just ordered my first real estate mugs.
Nice.
Here we go. I'll bring you one. They'll match your pants. I got them in off-white.
I got these little, what are they called? Tacky, wacky pants?
Cargos.
Cargos.
And we get to enjoy a beautiful rest of our day.
Yeah, today it's nice and sunny.
We'll take it when we can get it and sling some houses.
That's it. Everybody, thanks for listening. Follow, like, and share if you like this, and we'll bring more content to you guys.
See you next week.